Free speech is perhaps the most important amendment, and it was labeled the First Amendment, because we can't function as a democracy without it.
Providing a public access forum for First Amendment free speech was a way of reaching out to your community within your community and talking about your ideas that affected your community. And providing that First Amendment forum using the medium of television, which it was so pervasive.
When I started in Access, I actually started here in Plymouth at the first Access studio that was ever built for Plymouth, which was over at PCIS. At that time, being in a facility that was run by the cable company, things were kind of minimal. They were kind of short-staffed, and they seemed like more of an obligation rather than a real investment in the community. That was the Access that I knew. 5 more years in Sandwich, there was a lot more of that. I worked for Heron Cable at the time. So I had a real sense of what cable companies were trying to do, and they were doing a fairly good job, but there was a lot of investment in the community that just wasn't happening. When the opportunity came up to work for a nonprofit, when I heard that my old town was going under a new license and so on, I jumped at the opportunity as soon as I heard about it. I reached out to Nancy Richard. She hired me. I had the opportunity to really do it right for the town of Plymouth. Our sole purpose was to empower and educate the community to use these tools. Having the background knowing what tools to give and how to teach them was a real great opportunity for me and helped solidify that passion that I had for reaching out and teaching and empowering people.
Maybe next week we'll win the Scala. Sure. If you want to shoot some more footage or whatever, you got an extra week.
Whenever we're expanding or trying to develop new extensions to our programs, we always come back to, are we serving that initial need?
I was fortunate enough to be able to work out a deal with the town of Plymouth to take over an empty building on Court Street, closer to the downtown, that they would allow us to have for 10 years for a nominal rent in exchange for renovating the building.
The first thing I saw was that open courtyard in the back, and I asked if I can get 2 walls and a roof for a studio, we'll be good to go. We'll be able to do anything we need to do in this town. And we had a great run there. It was a great place for people to just gather, and we quickly became a hub for all different organizations and municipal departments to kind of connect, and just even casually, they didn't even have to be there to produce anything. They would just run into each other there.
We joke sometimes here that we serve people from 8 to 80 because truly we serve our entire community at all ages, whether it be classes, whether it be access to the channel, whether it be people volunteering to cover events. It's all ages working together.
Thank you. It's preview camera 2.
Our move to Fort Collins Ave in the industrial park in Plymouth wasn't only an economical move for us, but it was where we were in terms of our growth. Our lease was up in Plymouth at 130 Court Street. The town wanted to sell the building. We decided that the money we would put into that build, we can make this place work and outfit it the way we wanted, instead of an existing place with walls that we had to work around. When we came here to Fort Collins, we were also shifting in terms of our reach in the community. The landscape of membership was changing. The way people were using the facility was changing. So that had a lot to do with the way we designed the place. So we had to think about the kinds of people we were hiring to help support and sustain those people. We moved everybody over, and we hired a couple of new folks who had already been working with us on a volunteer basis. So they're already invested. They were already very community-minded and knew the kinds of things that we were trying to pull off for a long time.
Town meeting will come to order at 7:30 p.m.
Covering government meetings is really essential to providing information to our communities, but one of the things we found over the years is that it's important to provide voters and residents with additional information so they can be informed voters, so they can be informed residents. So our government access team developed a series of talk shows with elected and appointed officials to really be able to talk about the issues in each of our communities. And then beyond that, we started to move into the area of candidate statements and candidate forums so that elected officials and folks who are running for election can speak to their constituents, so people truly can make informed decisions when they go into the polls each year.
From the Council on Aging, from the Sheriff's Department, from our state representatives, They all bring a unique story and a unique message. We cover anything that has to do with what's going on in your local governments that affects you and your livelihoods and your children and your neighborhoods. And that's really important.
PACTV. Keep it local, stay informed. David Rodman was on our board of directors. He had a long career in broadcast television. It was a priority for him and other members of the board to try and offer some kind of community news solution. Eventually, we started a program called PACTV Close-Up. Dedicated staff person, one staff person, who had to do all this on his own. It had a good run, but it was very difficult to sustain that program.
And the next time we did it, we tried to do it with our existing staff. That lasted about a year. But in my mind, all along, I knew it was something that we had to do.
And we took on Duxbury in 2011 and then Pembroke in 2012. The reason for that expansion was to sustain and really fortify access in those communities, because Comcast was pulling out of those communities. They didn't want to run access anymore. We worked it out to run it for them. It was a logical choice because of the size of those towns. They wouldn't have been able to really have a robust program. So they got to jump onto what we're doing. We got to expand what we're offering and fortify the value and the impact of access in this region, which is a very important thing. It was a very visionary thing for Nancy to do. It came down to a decision that we have the resources now. We should be doing this as a service to the community, period. It was a really smart move, and I think all the towns that we're serving benefit a great deal from that service, and we're proud to do it. And with the history that I have here, it's one of the things that I'm the most proud of.
Oh, I got the okay from you. Still got that okay. Thank you for that.
We were very lucky when we moved to our building in Collins Avenue to also be able to start reaching out to different school groups. And today, we not only offer programming for youth throughout the year, but we also are working in 2 different school departments to be able to bring programming and equipment into the schools to work with staff, to work with kids, and to work with other towns that have incredible programs on their own.
Welcome to the 21st Annual Plymouth Rotary Auction, where over 100 volunteers will be taking your bids in order to raise funds to help our community.
Over the years, the relationships and the people that we have who are like-minded, who work together through this organization, have had opportunities to mobilize together to make a difference locally, around the country, and around the world. We've had the opportunity to hold telethons, we've had the opportunity to raise money, we've had the opportunity to make a real difference with people who are in need. And I will forever be so proud of that opportunity.
I had only been here about a year when the marathon bombing happened. And we immediately decided to cover the Run for One. And I saw this group, this ragtag group of talented creatives get together and spend all day on their own time covering a beautiful road race for a great cause, never ever expecting anything back for themselves.
I'll never forget in March of 2011, right after the Rotary auction, and our friends at Shishigahama had the tsunami that hit, and I remember having conversations with some of the folks here, and right after the Rotary auction, said, we got all these phones set up. Wouldn't it be great if we could just do a telethon and raise some money and put it together within 6 days? What was amazing about that is nobody ever said no, let's not do that. And I think that's what I like about this organization is there's really not a no in anybody's vocabulary. They always try to find a way to get to yes. And that's something that I always do as a business person. It's a lot easier just to say no to something than to say yes. And I think that's what I really get out of the people working here. It's let's see what we can do, and yeah, we'll do it. We'll figure it out.
I got to say, right now, where we are as an organization, I feel like I felt when I first started. In terms of the investment in the people, the trajectory we're on, the opportunities that we have, I couldn't feel more proud and more confident about what we're going to do and what we're going to be capable of doing that we don't even know is coming down the pike yet. Really looking forward to it.
PACTV is a lot of things.
It's a TV studio. It's a community center. It's a place to learn. It's a place to get your message out. It's also a place to serve. You can get as much out of it as you want. It is what you make of it, but we're here for you as a person. When you walk in the door, we want to be responsive to your needs. Talk to us, let us know what you want to do.
We're a lot more than the four walls. We are studios, we are people, we are creatives, we are communicators, we are people that bring people together. We're a really cool band of brothers who work with communities, with governments, with schools, with individuals, with organizations to get their message out, to inform, to educate, to inspire. That's what we are.
If you're curious, if you love to learn, if you have a story you want to tell, something you want to share with your community, we can all learn. This is open to all of us. Just come in and share what you want to tell.
So when someone comes to the door with an idea, the first thing that I want them to experience is a sense that whatever it is they want to do is a priority, that we're going to find a way to get them to communicate whatever it is in their heart or their mind. The point is that they were able to express themselves sincerely and effectively. And the effective part is where we come in, the tools that we give them to do that. If everybody comes to the door and walks out feeling that way, we've done our job.
From the very first moment I walked through the door, I felt like I was part of the community here. And I got to meet people here at PACTV that I wouldn't have met anywhere else. It's just such a cross-section of Plymouth's residents.
You know, when I look back on how this all started for me, I didn't even know how to set my VCR. Now, technology does not, befuddle me. I've taken all of the classes here, enjoyed every single one of them. I really love using Studio B. I like editing. And for a couple of years, I had my paintings here for a month at a time.
PACTV has served me in uncountable ways over the past 20 years, from the equipment loans for all of my projects to production classes for the Rising Tide soap opera kids, PSA days for all of the organizations that I support, and hosting my student art shows for years when they had the gallery. PACTV continues to uphold the First Amendment by providing a platform for free speech for anybody who wants to make a show.
PACTV has impacted me in nothing but positive ways. I've learned a lot. I've done a lot of video shoots. I've done volunteer work. I've been involved with town meetings, shooting town parades. It's been a wonderful experience.
I've watched the media evolve over the years, so it's kind of impacted me with knowledge of technology.
For the Time Is Now Ministries has enabled us to take the message, the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ outside of the church walls. We've had an opportunity to be on several cable access channels, I guess, for a locally based church to be able to have that type of an outreach outside of the church walls. It's great.
Being a part of PACTV has allowed me to bring the Plymouth show to fruition. And the Plymouth show allows me to do something I've always wanted to do, to interview and get to know some of the people that make Plymouth such an interesting place to live in and visit.
One of the things I always wanted to do was to have my own show. And we really have had a ball doing this show, and the confidence building and how we've improved has been significant.
I came to PACTV in February of 2016 looking for a volunteer opportunity. Every single person that I've interacted with has always stopped and taken the time to not just explain to me what they wanted me to do, but how it worked and how it fit into what PACTV needed. So PACTV has impacted me because it's given me an education.
It's given me another creative outlet. It's also allowed me to learn new things, and I love learning. I think somebody should always be learning their whole lives as long as they're alive. And it's also really helped me promote my mission with Two Grannies on the Road, which is to help baby boomers realize that they're not irrelevant and that they should go for their dreams no matter what.
My wife said to me, "You'll enjoy this because it's going to get you away from work and working at home. You'll enjoy this, you'll relax." I went kicking and screaming to the first show that she was working on. And that's when it started. And it has been an enjoyable, I feel as though it's added years to my life.